of day today, very strange because that on one side of the garage, that with the damage on the front wing, the pace that we had, I think it's encouraging and it was a good one. It was much more difficult for Lewis. He had a very, very good tire management yesterday, and we are struggling much more with the pace today. It's difficult to understand and to read, but we can also take the positive with the race of Charles and the pace that he had with the half of the front wing.
Yeah, where did Lewis's pace go? It can only be a tyre thing, really.
I don't want to finger point someone or to blame something, but we have to do a better job also, and we have to understand we all have the same tires. But it's true that it's always on the edge, and we saw even during the race that sometimes Max was struggling and then coming back and then struggling, and as soon as you are not in the right window, it's much more difficult.
And it was worth trying the two-stop with him?
Yeah, because the deck at one stage was important, and you never know if everybody has to pit, it would have made sense.
Okay, thanks very much.
Thank you.
So Lewis, one of the few to do the two-stop. Ultimately, as we heard from his team boss, that was the right decision. But tell me, as a strategist, were you surprised that the one-stop was ultimately the one to do?
Yeah, there was a bit of talk pre-race. There was a lot of talk about the two-stop. That's what we thought it was definitely going to be in strategy, given what we've seen from the sprint. There was a bit of talk in the paddock that maybe it'd be the one, keep an eye on the one, and a bit of, but just as a very backup strategy type thing. And then that hard tyre was able to perform a lot better than we'd expected, and nobody had the knowledge on that going into it. I think the people that started on the hard tyre really helped out those that were going to it because they'd got information about how long it could go into the race.
Ollie Behrman's just walking past us now, talking to Jock Clear, who's obviously been a big part of his development. I mean, we'll talk more about Ollie's day in a moment, but let's just bring it back to the two Ferrari drivers who are currently racing for the team, Lewis and Leclerc, coming together at the beginning of the race and ultimately damaging his front wing. Were you surprised how much pace he had even with that damage?
I was a bit surprised, but one thing that a few engineers have said to me, just walking back to the podium, and caveated by saying, don't quote me on it, is they all thought that the wing was flexing a bit more. You could see it getting closer to the ground, perhaps producing a bit more downforce. You could see the left side is clearly closer to the ground, especially when it's going through those faster corners. Now, legally, you can't design a car without the end plates, right? So that they can't just take them off. For people at home thinking, it's quicker that way. It doesn't work like that. And frankly, they were very lucky that Lewis didn't get a puncture at their first corner.
And I was just thinking with that wing, obviously the pace didn't suffer in those initial part of the stint or in the initial part of the race. But at the end of the race, he did suffer with degradation. And I think that degradation has got to come down a little bit to the downforce that was on the car at that point. So I think perhaps the fact that Verstappen was going to get that position and the lap times really suffering at the end was a little bit because the car wasn't running as they would like it to.
And ultimately, what we don't know, because it happened on lap 1, is how much more pace Leclerc could have had. In the end, he finished 2 seconds ahead of Lewis. I don't think Lewis had a great day, to be honest. They tried the two-stop, but even on the one-stop, they'd already swapped cars, and he was already dropping back. So in the end, I don't think it was a strategy that did Lewis in. He was sort of 2-3 seconds behind on the first stint. They tried the two-stop, he finished 2 seconds behind. It was just Leclerc had more pace. What we don't know is how much more pace he could have had if he didn't damage the wing.
How much of it is a concern to the team and indeed the other drivers that front wing could just come off in the way that it did to Yuki Tsunoda?
Yeah, I think, well, Yuki's was a bit of an odd sort of failure, if we say it like that. Because we've seen this quite often, the end plate getting damaged, I believe that the format now is all of the teams need to bring design stuff in advance to the FIA and say, in the event of an end plate failure, this is how strong our wing is. And they were pretty confident in it because one of the things, as Crofty mentioned in comms, when you do a pit stop, the front jack needs to go under the wing. So you need to be pretty confident that you've not ruined the structural integrity of that wing in any way. So they were pretty sure it was going to be all right to attempt that pit stop because if the jack had failed or the wing had failed, it would have been very, very slow.
Now, talking of potential failure, Lando Norris had some problems with his brakes at the end of the race, and that was pretty sketchy stuff for him, wasn't it? Let's hear from him now. He's in the pen.
Lando, how are you feeling about that? First of all, how scary was the brake issue towards the end? Because George just said to me half a lap more and he thinks he could have got you.
He would have got me next lap, yeah. I was lucky to finish the race today, which is not something you want to be saying. I I mean, brakes are something you hate, but something you really do need, and they can save save your life. So especially the last couple laps, because the brakes were getting worse and worse every lap, and the last couple laps I'm 3 or 4 seconds off. So quite nervous. I think the team knew about the problem much before they told me about it, so they wanted to keep me calm. So not good at all from that side, because we're lucky to have finished the race, but to finish with a 1-2 makes us very happy. It's what we wanted to come into the weekend with, and it's what we achieved. So a very good day for the team.
Without any issues, could you have had the win today, or did Oscar have the edge, do you think?
Doesn't really matter, does it? I would love to have challenged Oscar today, but he drove well, and I had the pace for sure, especially because in dirty air it's a lot more tricky, like we've seen all weekend. But I didn't think the pace was there, but Oscar deserved it completely. He was a pole yesterday and a win today, so he's driven very well. A shame about my brakes in the end, but that's life, and we'll take it on the chin and move on.
So this car is ahead of the field. How important does that make qualifying for you going forward between you two if it's going to be like this?
I mean, it's going to be exciting. It's exciting for all of us. It's tough. But yeah, I'm still feeling good. With how bad the car had been yesterday and the day before, I really felt like just a good few steps behind all weekend. In terms of driving, personally, and just with the car balance, today things came towards me a lot more, and the pace difference from today to yesterday showed just how much having a car that suits you versus a car that doesn't suit you can make. Because I felt like I probably had the best pace out there today. Doesn't mean I'm going to win with the best pace, but I felt like very confident today, and I felt the complete opposite yesterday. So a positive in terms of learnings and takeaways for the next few weekends. And even though I've been driving a McLaren for 6-7 years, this weekend was a complete new one for me, and I had to change a lot of things in my driving. So glad that I got some answers.
Well done.
So Lando, I know this is boring, so it's not the brake power that's changing, it's just the pedal that's going longer. Okay, it's potentially getting
go to the floor or not?
So it's getting worse. Basically, the front circuit will maintain pressure, the rear will lose, but you'll still get brake power. So you just have to be really cautious on the brakes, no risk.
Yeah, but I'm a lot quicker than... Yeah.
So Lando, we see you're quick. This is one of those things we discussed, the primaries over the year. I'd rather finish second than not at all. No hard braking. Lando, the brake situation has been getting critical.
Yeah, I think the pedal's going flat.
Well, Will Jovis was very calm there, but he went from boring to no risk to critical. From a driver's perspective, how scary is that?
Your two biggest nightmares as a driver is if you have a brake failure or a stuck throttle. Well, frankly, add 3 a steering issue. So, so it can be a bit nervy if you feel a brake pedal going long. So for people at home to understand, the brake pedal in a Formula 1 car doesn't move very much. It barely moves a few millimeters compared to your road car at home. So for a driver, if they suddenly feel that pedal going longer, it is unnerving, it is unnatural. So I think that there's a good message there where Will said, it's just the travel is longer, but the brake power should be good. Clearly they had an issue with the rear brakes. You heard him saying that the front brakes were okay, it was the rear. The bit that somewhat confused me, I don't know about you, Bernie, but the bit that confused me where they said, they almost had to remind him it's better to finish second than not. I mean, I know we heard him say he had more pace, but he was never going to catch Oscar. So yeah, that confused me a bit.
Yeah, I think the radio message is a bit confused order there. I think him saying he had more pace came a bit earlier in the race when he thought he was pushing, and then the brake issue came. It's two different bits of the circuit, like you said, and it's interesting. I don't understand how he could have had the same brake power having no rear circuit. So just so that people understand, you've got a physical brake, like you do in your car, where the caliper acts on the brake disc. The rear of that seemed to not be working at all, and what he's relying on in the rear of the car is the engine to slow the car down for the rear. So it's like he just has the front brakes on the car there. That's a very forward brake balance for the driver, so totally not what they normally drive with, and much less stopping power, I think, than what he would have overall. someone can correct me, I'm sure, on that, but I do feel that he won't have had the same stopping power, which is why those later laps were very, very off in terms of pace.
Okay, well, ultimately, he brought it home P2 for the second consecutive year here in Shanghai. And his teammate took the top spot. Lando Norris, though, maintains the top spot in the championship by 8 points ahead of Max Verstappen. We will analyse Oscar's first win of 2025 on the way next. Back to Shanghai. Quick debrief then in the Red Bull garage, and we'll be hearing from Christian Horner after we've heard from Max Verstappen. He finished 4th. He's in the pen now.
Hi, Max. I know there was a tricky start, but if we could talk about towards the end of the race where you did catch Charles and overtake him, and the car seemed to come alive a bit. I know you were just saying that you don't necessarily think it's low fuel. So is that an area the team can work on for you going forward and find out why it was so much better at that
If
point?
it's possible to adjust, yeah. I mean, certainly I just picked up tire grip, not balance. The balance is the same, but more tire grip, where maybe others just plateaued a bit more. And then, of course, yeah, the lap times were more promising for us, at least. And it was also, of course, a bit more fun to drive, have a few battles. Because the first half of the race was quite tough. But we just set out to do our own pace. You know, before in the sprint, I tried to keep up with them, but then my tires died. So I just did my own pace. The tires were still in a decent shape when I had to pit because others were pitting around me. But yeah, that is also not, I guess, how we want to race, right? I mean, at least I want to try and keep up and hang in there. But yeah, a lot to analyze, I think. But at least the second stint was a lot more positive, more promising as well for us. And I hope that yeah, we can take some learnings out of that going into Japan.
Is it a case of small increments at the moment for you and the team in terms of improvements?
It's difficult to say when you don't really know where to find it or how to find it at the moment. But yeah, at least that last stint, I would say, gives a bit more of a clearer picture. But yeah, we'll go through all the data, and yeah, we have 10 days. Hopefully we can learn a little bit more and be a bit more competitive in 10 days.
Just finally for me, how long are you prepared to give the team if this car is tricky? For much longer? Are you happy to just stay and help them work through it?
I hear this all the time, but for me nothing changes. I'm actually very relaxed. I'm very positive in my mind. I'm enjoying life, you know. So every time I jump in the car, I just try to do the best I can, and I'm not thinking about anything else, to be honest, because I feel good in life in general. If that's in the car, outside the car. And that's actually what matters the most.
It is, you're right. Thanks.
Very philosophical Max Verstappen there. And Christian Horner's alongside us now. Just tell us, we did see some pace come to him towards the latter stages of the race. Is there anything you would have done differently, do you think?
Well, I think that first stint was where we gave away all the time. If you look at Max came in for the pit stop, 18 seconds behind Oscar, and at the checkered flag he was 16 seconds behind. So on the hard tire we were pretty competitive. So I think we need to understand, maybe we overcompensated based on the degradation we saw yesterday. For sure we need to find a little bit more pace, then just life is easier. But he drove another great race today. You know, the pass on Charles, he caught the Ferraris, he passed Charles. And yeah, you know, a 4th place finish and important points, but we know we've still got plenty to do.
And he's enjoying himself, clearly.
Just taking a step back, Christian, it kind of feels like we've carried on from the end of last year, isn't it? You know, McLaren with the seemingly the quickest car, a 10th or 2. Have you guys understood where the performance deficiencies are, and are you going to try and correct that for this year, or are we already thinking, you know what, this is a McLaren year, we've got to get 26 right?
Karan, it's race 2. It can't be that defeatist. I mean, we're 8 points behind in the Drivers' Championship after 2 races. And there's everything to play for. And if nothing else, last year teaches you, you can start as strong as you like. It's how you finish. And look, we've got great strength and depth in our team. Everybody in the company knows we've got a bit of pace to find. And yeah, we've got the tools, we've got the people in order to do that. It's just unpicking it. I think we've got some very good data out of today. Max is working harder than I've ever seen him. He's more integrated into the engineering group than I've ever seen. And yeah, as he said, he seems to be enjoying
Might be why it's like it
that
is.
aspect. So he's not getting super stressed. He's, of course, like any driver, impatient performance, but he's working with the engineers to say, okay, what about this? What about this? This is what I'm experiencing as a driver. This is where I need the lap time from, and that's the only way collectively that we're going to get performance.
To speak of the other driver then a little bit, Christian, Liam, I know there was a lot of changes, I think, or you can tell me a lot of changes or not, but some changes overnight to start from the pit lane. Was there learning on that car that's useful for the overall car concept, or just specific to Liam?
Yeah, look, I mean, we made the decision to take him off the grids, out of Parc Fermé, to try and try some radical changes on the setup, because obviously you're so limited in testing with these cars. So it made sense to say, okay, look, we're starting at the back. Let's try and learn something out of the day. We've done that. We've got 56 laps worth of information with a radically different setup, on the car. Again, that gives huge information back into the factory, back into that system, as we're looking to improve our performance in the forthcoming races.
We heard some strong words of support actually from Max for Liam, just saying, look, it's not an easy car to drive. Have you had the chance to talk to Liam yet? We saw some quite feisty little moves from him out there, but ultimately he was always going to be on the back foot coming into this race, wasn't he?
Yeah, look, I mean, Liam is a great little racer. I mean, he gets his elbows out. He races hard. He's just struggling at the moment. Finding the limit with his car, getting the most out of the car. And of course, as a team, as a group, we're looking to support him in the best way that we can. So he'll be in the debrief, giving all that information to the engineers very shortly.
So presumably the headache for you is that you want to find performance for Max, but equally, could you sacrifice some peak performance in order to make the car easier for Liam to drive? Like, which direction do you turn?
Well, look, you're always going for ultimate performance, and fast cars are never easy cars to drive. But we know that there's performance that we need to find, and we need both drivers up there. If there's to be any chance of fighting for a constructors championship. So and at the very least with the drivers championship as well, you need to have a second car in play. You can't just do it one-legged. So we want as a team collectively to make sure that we're getting the best out of both drivers and getting both cars as far up the grid as we can.
Now Liam did say yesterday he knows he hasn't got the luxury of time at this team, but will you give that to him?
Well, look, Formula One is a pressure business, isn't it? And there's always time pressure, and he knows that, hopefully he'll respond accordingly, and we'll see where we go.
Okay, thanks, Christian. Thank you very much for your time. Let's hear now from Liam Lawson.
Hi, Liam. The race today, what can you take from it? How was the car feeling out there? I mean, at one point we heard a radio message saying you can't turn in.
Yeah, I mean, we tried to do something quite aggressive today with setup. That's why we started from the pit lane.
This fucking kid sucks. Get him out of here.
Mostly to learn something and get an idea. I think we definitely learned something, and it just didn't work today. So I think looking at the sprint yesterday, we were a lot more competitive, able to overtake cars and stuff. Today it was just a lot more difficult. So it's something we'll learn from. But obviously there's plenty that I've got to work on personally as well.
You said something to me yesterday that I know a lot of people have picked up on, so I just wanted to have you clarify. You said you need time in this car and you don't have time. What did you mean?
We're in the season. I mean, that's, we're 2 races in and we're racing, and it's something that, it's something that you'd love to have, 60 test days and things like that. And I know a lot of the other guys tested a lot out of season, and unfortunately it's not something we did, but it's not something we can do in this car anyway. So it's just one of those things. It's not an excuse. It's just something that I've got to get on top of as quickly as
Sounds like an excuse, homie.
Christian said to us, and we know that the car has been engineered towards Max these last few years. How difficult is it to adapt? Can the team help and engineer it?
He's probably like, fuck, man, I'm going to be on Drive to Survive now.
How big is the issue? Or how
I think,
big is the
honestly,
challenge?
that's really what we tried today. The direction we went today was to basically support that and make the car a bit easier in a lot of ways, and just help the balance. But unfortunately, it just it went the wrong way, and it made the car just a lot harder a lot slower basically. So it's the way it is, and it's something I've got to get my head around.
take any comfort and confidence from the fact that Max has spoken to the press as well and said this is a really difficult car to drive, and that you would be quick in any other car, it's just this car is so difficult?
Not really. It's just I want to be at the front, and I will just keep working to try and achieve that.
Thanks.
Well, he says that lack of experience in the car isn't an excuse, but it is a reason. Annoyingly, we want to get Christian back and ask him why they didn't give him more time. In your view, should they have kept him at the Racing Bulls for at least half a season before promoting him?
No, I don't think so. We've talked a lot about Kimi Antonelli, the testing he's done in that Mercedes. If he was doing the same test in the Williams or in a Mercedes engine car, it's not giving him the same thing. We've spoken about how the Red Bull is really tricky to drive. It's a very specific car. It's not the same as the Racing Bulls. What I'd love to know, what we should have asked Christian, is why did Red Bull not do a similar program to Mercedes with Liam Lawson or whoever is going to be in the second seat? Why was he not doing, like he said, 60 test days last year in a 4-year-old Red Bull? It's going to have the same characteristics. There's no cost cap limit in that. He could have stepped into the car in a much, much stronger position, I think, than he currently is.
Perhaps they just hadn't made their mind up going into the winter break.
But the problem was last year.
I mean, they obviously moved him into the Racing Bulls, but I mean to promote him.
Yeah, I think that's the problem, is they promote him into the Racing Bulls. So actually, to underline Bernie's point, the argument could have been, you could have left Daniel there till the end of the season, given Liam, you know, the 10,000k that Antonelli had in a 2-year-old car, because he would have been allowed to do a 2-year-old test program. And they prepared him, but you know, they will counter it, I suppose, by saying we gave him 11 races instead of the test program and things. So, but I agree with Bernie. You know, I think they need to, and we've talked about throughout the weekend, Mercedes have raised the bar in terms of rookie preparation, and I think it's something that the others have to look at.
I was just going to say, even to the point where the regulation changed about how much rookie preparation you can do now, how much testing you can do on the old cars changed potentially off the back of that.
Talking of rookies, it was a great day for Ollie Behrman, wasn't it? And indeed for the team house, because they're both in the points. Let's hear his team radio now.
Yeah. That was so fun.
Yeah, you deserve it, man. That was awesome.
Well, Audi, amazing job, you know, coming from P17 to score your first points as a full-time F1 driver. Amazing. Thank you.
No, thank you. Carl was really, really good today.
Radio check. We'll obviously be on the medium, so we'll get a bit more front.
Last car on the grid.
It's lights out and away we go, and Oscar Piastri didn't get as good a start as George Russell. The Mercedes is coming right at him and has got the inside line into turn 1, but Piastri holds Russell off. Round the outside goes Lando Norris. On the inside, Lewis Hamilton is ahead of Max Verstappen. 4 start for him, and Charles Leclerc is getting keen on the Red Bull 2.
I've been hit by someone.
Brakes on fire, Alonso.
No brakes, no brakes, no brakes. Yeah, box.
Fernando Alonso, back-to-back retirements to start this season.
I think it's going to get 1 stop. If it stays like this, I won't plan A.
So it would be too much traffic, so we stick to plan B. Plan B.
The sliding of the rubber makes it very difficult.
It's going to be nip and tuck with Lando Norris. Lando Norris is coming out now. Oscar Piastri goes through. Then comes Lance Stroll. Then comes George Russell on the inside. Is Lando Norris, and Russell goes around the outside.
I think I'm going to let Charles go because I'm struggling.
And we will swap the cars in turn 14.
Down the main straight, Lando Norris is going down the inside on George Russell, who had to leave him a little bit of room and knew he couldn't fend that one off. Such was the speed with DRS of the McLaren.
We're going to swap the car into turn 14, 1-4.
I'll tell you when we're going to swap.
This is a shame. The place is
So you are the fastest car out there. Let's go, Charles.
We haven't heard really from Oscar Piastri much in this race. We kind of envisaged that he's cool, he's calm, he's collected out in front.
How's the tyre, Oscar? Can we do plan A?
I think we're good for the end. Brake pedal's going a bit long. Yeah, the brake pedal's gone a lot longer.
So it's been going long the whole time. We see it has steps, yes.
Yeah, Now it's a lot longer.
You just have to be really cautious on the brakes, no risk.
All Lando wants to know is, am I going to arrive at the hairpin with no brakes?
The brake situation has been getting critical.
Oscar Piastri, there's the checkered flag, and there's his first win in 2025. Oscar Piastri wins the Chinese Grand Prix. Who's going to finish second? It's Lando Norris. George Russell gave it everything on the final lap, and he just had enough brakes to survive.
Well done, Oscar. Great drive. Really good. And it's a 1-2 for the team.
Yeah, mega job, guys. That is one satisfying weekend. Thank you, everybody.
So a third career win for Oscar Piastri, his first of 2025. Lando Norris and George Russell joining him on the podium. 5th and 6th for the Ferrari drivers. And points on his birthday for Alex Albon, with Ollie Behrman rounding out the top 10. The only retiree of the day was Fernando Alonso. That was early on with brake issue. And this is what it means for the drivers. So Lando Norris increases his gap to 8 points ahead of Max Verstappen, then just a single point separating George Russell from Oscar Piastri, who's jumped up to 4th. Esteban Ocon has leapt into the top 10. Ollie Behrman was the story of the day, with getting a point for Haas, along with his teammate Esteban Ocon, who is up in 10th. This is what it means then for the constructors. Good news for Haas, 7 points for them. It's McLaren, though, who's still out in the lead, 25 points ahead of Mercedes. The only team yet to score is Alpine. Let's hear them from that teenage sensation, Ollie Behrman.
That must feel better, Ollie. That was a great job from you today. Some lovely moves as well. You're looking at the times up there right now. What are you thinking?
No, just super happy. We did a great job. Good execution on everything. I was not expecting to do a one-stop. I was quite shocked when we pitted onto a medium. But no, the tyres were lasting much better than they were yesterday, and we did a great job with setup changes. So, no, the car was fantastic today. I was so happy.
I was going to say, I mean, with Esteban as well being able to be up there in the top 10, is this a sign of this car going forward? Was it track specific? What do you think?
I think this track definitely suits what we have. You know, it's the type of track that on paper is good for our car. Very smooth, not many bumps and stuff like that, which that's what we're looking for at the moment. We'll try and smoothen all the other ones out if we can. But no, it is partly due to the track, but I think we can continue a decent amount of form for the next few races.
Great job today, well done. Esteban, well,
Thank you.
I'll shake your hand.
Yeah, you gave me the hand, so I'll shake it.
That was a great performance today. You must be really pleased.
Very pleased.
Was it your management, your time management? How did you do it?
No, it's not only my management. I think the team turnaround, you know, that we've done, you know, from yesterday to the end of day in qualifying, and today it's been huge. You know, from the words of Ayao, we didn't sleep very much and didn't eat very much. It was too hard to do so, looking at the performance from Melbourne. So yeah, it's amazing to be where we are today. There is more to unlock from this car. There's more potential, so we need to keep going in this direction. But from strategy calls to where the car felt in comparison, I think it's been huge. So well done to everyone, and well done to Ollie as well, because you know, for him to come back from that far in an alternate strategy, I think it's yeah, super great to be having both cars in the points today.
I was going to say, you mentioned it, strategy calls. The undercut on Antonelli as well was brilliant. It worked out perfectly.
It was not really an undercut, but I got it on track.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
We got it as an undercut. Okay.
No, we've actually lost the position on that one. Lost to Pierre, and then obviously Kimi was in front, so I had to overtake Pierre, and then I was with Kimi, which was very good. So yeah, a few things to review, but overall amazing strategy for everyone.
Well done today, thank you.
Well, Ayo, congratulations. Thanks for joining us on the pit wall. We could sense the nerves in your voice, but yeah, that must feel pretty sweet. What a difference a week makes.
Yeah, honestly, I'm so proud of this team. You know, last weekend in Melbourne was a shock to us, and then yeah, this circuit's very different. So then, but the good thing is just the reaction from whole team. everyone, various department people in Italy, UK trackside, US, all working together, and then we got best out of the car. We didn't get the car set up right for sprint, but then we corrected it, and then just communication during the race, night and day from last year. So I think Suzuka is going to be hard. I'm not kidding, but I'm going to enjoy this moment. It's so proud of the team.
Yeah, Esteban, a great P7. He really made the tyres last, as did Ollie on the reverse strategy.
No, it was amazing. Again, Ollie's feedback from the first stint was really good. So we had the confidence with Ollie's data that we can go to the end with Esteban if we manage it okay. But again, just honestly, whole group, quite often last year we didn't get the tyre management right, but communication so much better. So happy just in all aspects.
Great stuff. A load of points for you. Thanks very much. Well done.
Good job, guys. Amazing strategy. Well done. Super happy for you guys.
Yeah, man. And Ollie is P10, so that's double points. What a turnaround.
Yeah, amazing comeback from him. Well done. Typical strategy with the reverse as well, so done super well. And the car, yeah, was very good. So, yeah, thank you for that. Bit more to improve, and we will be there, I'm sure.
A very good day for the Haas team. And let's take a look at Ollie Behrman's day. So he started down in 17 because of he didn't get the last lap in qualifying, which was unfortunate for him. But let's look at his start on the hard tyre, which he fired up really well, getting in amongst the battle with the Alpines and the Williamses there. Had to check himself behind Carlos Sainz. Drops downhill into the left-hand, and now look up to the right-hand side, and you see one of the Saubers, they have a snap of oversteer and go off wide. Oliver here in the slipstream behind Gasly, goes for the move around the outside, but watch his hands here, gets a massive snap of oversteer there, and that puts him out wide. So now the Alpine's gone, and actually the Saubers come up alongside him, but he manages to outdrag the car. Now on this first stint, as I said before, he started on a hard tyre, which was a contra strategy to most people. The majority, I think 17, started on the mediums, and Behrman went 26 laps on that first stint of tyres, which left him with 30 laps to do on a set of mediums, more than anyone else in the race, and he did a fantastic job. In the second stint, you got less fuel on board, the car is lighter, but he still had to come through the pack, and he did some great moves there, passing Liam Lawson, doing the switchback at the turn, a 14 hairpin, great move there to get the traction on the way out. And then as the race unfolded, he got behind Jack Doohan as well, and again, similar sort of move. This became his sort of party trick for the race, going for the outside, switch back for the inside, and then with Carlos Sainz later on went for a more conventional move down the inside, but importantly got the car stopped, so Sainz couldn't do the switchback on him, although he did have a good effort there from Carlos. So yeah, a really great drive from Oliver Behrman, and then this was the move to get around the outside of Pierre Gasly into turn one using the DRS, and that very much pleased his dad and the rest of his team. So great job there by Ollie Behrman, and also of course Esteban Ocon. 7 points for the team today.
I mean, Benny, that's a huge result for them. They were nowhere. Well, they came last in Australia. Is that because Australia, Albert Park, is something of an outlier? It's just a very different proposition here?
I think it is a very different proposition here. It was very different difficulty with the tyres for a start. Australia with the wet conditions as well obviously played a part in that. I think they got a lot of things right today, particularly as Corinne went through there, that very long medium stint at the end for Behrman. I just did not see that pulling off. I thought he was going to have to stop again. Changing what the car started on, one on medium, one on hard, that brought the team a lot of information that really helped their decisions later on as well. So good strength in the team today and what they did across both drivers and how they progressed. So yeah, it was a very different challenge to Australia. I was quite strong on what he said, that the high speed was a real issue there. They've changed some stuff in the setup. I'm sure they'll continue to develop going forward. So it's a good weekend for them.
Yeah, and well, another teenager who did really well today was Kimi Antonelli. He scored points at both Grand Prix so far this season. He finished 8th. Let's hear his team radio.
Kimi, driver of the day, we just saw on the screen.
Me?
Yeah, interesting, no?
Yeah, that's weird.
I think it's your looks and your target group.
So into the pit lane, please, mate. Toto's a real charmer.
and obviously the looks of your race engineer also.
Kimi Antonelli, driver of the day.
Yeah,
Your
super
best
surprised.
But it was a great drive, and then we didn't realise until the end when Toto told you had damage, so you didn't know you were carrying damage as well.
Yeah, they didn't want to tell me because I wouldn't panic probably. Yeah, it was. I could feel something was weird from lap one. You know, the limitation. Yesterday was front limitation, front left, and today I was really struggling with the rear the whole race, which was quite unusual. I found it really weird. But yeah, then it was really hard to keep up, and especially I was really trying to save the rears as much as possible. But yeah, it was a difficult race overall. But yeah, now it's time to reset and come back stronger in Japan.
Can you take some satisfaction from the fact that you were carrying damage and still managed to have a race like that?
Yeah, now I need to see how much was that damage, but overall, was mentally was a good lesson. Was a good experience as well because it was tough, and also trying not to do mistakes was difficult. And but yeah, now full focus to Japan.
Thank you. Great job.
Thank you.
Well, Kimi was pretty surprised to get driver of the day. There's two candidates to my left that probably deserved it as well. Congratulations. Wow, there you go. Oscar, congratulations. I mean...
Our driver of the day.
Stop it, you two. Congratulations, though. I mean, it must feel great to get that win under your belt for 25. Given what happened in Australia, it feels like a long time ago now, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's amazing how much changes in a week. It's been a great weekend all round. I think we've had to do a lot of hard work as a team to pull off this result. It's not been as straightforward as it was in Australia. So we've had to work hard at it, and no, it's been.
What are you laughing at? What are you laughing at?
No, good.
Who? Go on, tell us.
It's been difficult, but we did a good job of turning the car around, making it. It's clearly been fast. I'm not putting that up for question, but we had to make it a bit easier to get a handle on, and we've done a great job. And I feel like I've had a really strong weekend personally, and it's nice to leave this weekend with the result that I really wanted last week.
Just today's race, a lot of people went into it expecting to have that two-stop strategy. It moved to the one-stop. Either of you really can answer this one. How quickly did that become apparent to you in the car that
Can we deduct our kids' tuba lessons?
I'm asking an H&R Block Tax Pro online right now. Their live expert help doesn't cost extra.
That'll make doing our taxes so easy.
They even have 24/7 AI tax assist, so we can get help whenever we need it.
Wish they did tuba lessons too.
With tax day less than 1 month away, you could do your own taxes online with H&R Block and get unlimited expert help at no additional cost. Expert help is included with all paid H&R Block online products.
Okay, so when we get on the car line, don't look anyone in the eye, don't smile, stand right next to me. This is serious business.
But Dad...
I know, it's tough. But in the game of car buying, we gotta play it smart.
Dad, there are no games. CarMax has upfront pricing. The price we saw online is the price we get.
Oh, okay. I guess we can smile.
Shop quality certified cars with upfront pricing at CarMax.com.
Some people just know they could save hundreds on car insurance by checking Allstate first. Like you know to check the GPS directions first, before driving to the mall.
Turn right at the light. In 1,000 miles, you will reach Montreal.
Not Montreal, the mall.
Recalculating. 6,000 miles to Nepal.
No, the mall.
Checking first is smart.
Calculating.
So check Allstate first for a quote that could save you hundreds. You're in good hands with Allstate.
Savings vary. Subject to terms, conditions, and availability. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Smoothbrook, Illinois.